Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Thanks for tuning in tonight. There's probably a fair number of bears here because, as you're probably aware, the big bear is taking a enforced break from YouTube. It's a little bit ironic because the strike that he was given was actually given for a video that wasn't his own video. No, Red Bear, it's not correct to say that they scrubbed Owen's channel. Owen did that himself. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever, there's no benefit whatsoever for him to leave stuff up there, because clearly what they're going to do is mine the videos looking for things that they can strike. And so if the videos are not up there, then there's nothing for them to do. And so when you look, it's not a protest. You need to understand, it's not a protest. It's about not giving them ammunition to go ahead and take it down. Besides, his channel isn't monetized. What does he care? Now, this is just like when we got unauthorized started in the first place. We're not 100% fully ready to go in terms of we don't have the apps in the state that we want them. We don't have they do have live streaming going, but it doesn't have chat, and it doesn't, it's just from a technical perspective. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's not easy to use yet. So there's a number of different possibilities, and we'll see what works most effectively. Jeff says, why does YouTube go after Owen's channel but not yours? Well, there's a number of theories, but probably the most significant one is that everybody in Silicon Valley at this point knows that the Dread Ilk and I fight every step of the way. I'm not at liberty to speak about it, but I can tell you right now that Indiegogo absolutely wishes that they had never, ever touched our campaign. And, we've been ready and waiting. Keep in mind, Google's a relatively smart company, and they spider everything. So, people have been asking me for years, why doesn't Google just take down your, why don't they just take down your blog? It's a blogger blog. And my answer has always been probably because they realize there's no point in it. If they take it down, they're about the only other people who know that we have exactly the same blog, completely updated with, the same posts on it that are on there today, all dating back to 2001. They know we have the other stuff not only ready, but up and running. And so you need to keep in mind that most of these attacks are, number one, they're in response to somebody complaining about it. YouTube is just the amenable authority. YouTube is, for the most part, not running around trying to hunt down violators of the narrative. There are probably a few people inside the organizations that get their personal kicks doing that, but that's not what the organizations do for the most part. We had problems with Amazon, And, it was just one SJW inside Amazon. We actually had our account shut down on Amazon, I think for 16 hours, and they restored it very quickly because they didn't want to go through a lawsuit that they were going to lose. That was of absolutely no benefit to them whatsoever. And so, and that's something that I'll mention. I'll mention here in a few minutes. Once we got the maximum number of bears who are on. But let me read you something. I think this is important to keep in mind at times like these. This is my favorite philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Keep in mind that the guy who wrote this was the most powerful man in the Roman Empire at the time. He's the literal emperor of Rome. And so this is the beginning of book 2. And this, in my opinion, is the most important part. Begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. For none of these things can injure me, for nobody can implicate me in what is degrading. So, I'm not going to go on with the rest of it because, frankly, I don't agree with the second part of it as much. But the point is, we are in a unending war, and we always have been. Jesus told us that we would be hated. Marcus Aurelius told us we will meet with interference. So why should we be surprised by this? Why should we consider this a setback? It's not. It's an opportunity. Today there are over 100 new unauthorized subscribers because of what YouTube just did. Is that a bad thing? Not at all. Not at all. It's more important in the long run that people support the platforms that are on their side, that are not the enemy. And so we'll come up with a solution. Owen's going to be able to stream live on YouTube in a week. And even if they switch the narrative up again and he's not, there's going to be alternatives. There's going to be plenty of options. We are looking at all the various possibilities, all the various options, and we will choose one. None of this is a surprise. None of this is upsetting. And it's just something that you need to be aware of and be prepared for. I look at it and, we've been, like, to give you an example, I take screenshots every day of the analytics because if YouTube ever demonetizes or gets rid of this channel, we will have a legitimate cause of a complaint with very accurate material damages to go to and take to the appropriate court. And so, you have to always be aware when you're on somebody else's turf and be prepared for whatever it is that they choose to do. And maybe they have the right to do it, maybe they don't. But and this is something that to all the bears out there, all of you who were channel members of Owen's channel, a according to the lawyers, have a very good case for going after YouTube for tortiously interfering in your relationship with Owen and vice versa. The thing is that these companies don't believe anyone's going to do it because nobody does. All they do is cry about it, complain about it, and then go away. Panacea Tiki says, what's the point? Well, wait and see. But, if you are a bear and you were a channel member of Owen's channel, then email him and let him know what your YouTube name is, and preferably when you became a channel member, because super chatters, I don't believe super chatters have any cause for action, and it's particularly important if you didn't get a refund. If you I'm not involved. I can't. Somebody said if you start a class action, I'm not involved. I'm not a lawyer, and I wasn't a channel member. But the point is, if you were a channel member of Owen's channel, you didn't get a refund, whether you got a refund or not, then, but make sure you mention it. If you didn't get a refund, then, and you're willing to take part in that, let Owen know. Cowboy Bear says, I became a tune and I never got a refund. They are very, very vulnerable on that ground. Saracen Bear says he didn't get a refund either. Right. And so, Owen has already been contacted by some folks who know what they're doing. And in my opinion, there's a very good, the person to email is Owen. He needs to put together a collection of everybody who, so you need your Google name, the statement that you're a channel member, and let it know. I believe it was around March 16th. And so, but make sure that you, Owen, put up whatever the email address is. So Owen's got a bunch of email addresses. I don't know which one he would want, but there is a very good chance that they would be that their position is extremely shaky. Yeah, and these things are not easy. We got kicked off of Indiegogo in October, and it's still going now. It doesn't matter whether you got a refund or not. It's still tortious interference. So, or whatever the has something to do with it. Anyhow, the point is that this is something that the VFM did very successfully in a different situation, and so the one thing that these social media companies are not really set up to deal with is they're not set up to deal with getting hit from both sides. So what they're doing is they're picking on the creators, right? But they don't know. Welcome, Brian 18,000. They don't tend to think in terms of what's going to happen if they interfere with the separate agreement between the creator and the supporter. But there are, generally the way that they set up these relationships is they literally tell the creator, you have a separate legal responsibility, because they don't want to have responsibility for supplying whatever needs to be supplied to the backers. And this creates a serious vulnerability. And so let's see. Somebody said, how do you fund your lawyers? I don't. All of our legal team is volunteers. We call it the Legal Legion of Evil. It's a mission. And that is very important, because it means that they can't play the wait you out game. In fact, it works the other way around. No, super chats are working fine. I'll get to the super chats in a few minutes. But right now it's important to explain or let the bears know that you guys have a way to help them out. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. E. Michael Jones says they're going after his channel too. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. Welcome, Tony Drulard. Welcome, Tony. And welcome, Vox Day Respecter. The thing is that, we're ready. We've been, like I said, we've been waiting for them to come directly after me for literally years now. Now, I personally suspect that they're not going to, because I have a tremendous amount of their internal communications, and I'm pretty sure that they don't want, given all the stuff that they've already said about me, I'm pretty sure they don't want to give me access to it. The interesting thing is that I've heard that there also, a lot of channels were getting strikes recently that are, a lot of channels are getting strikes recently that are financial channels that are talking about the Chinese situation. And so this is interesting, and this is a little bit crazy. So the other thing that you need to keep in mind, welcome Nameless Bear, is that I'm in Europe, and unlike the US courts, they are not at all inclined to favor the big tech companies. They've already fined, different European courts have already fined Google $9 billion or 9 billion euros. And they've recently passed special taxes in France, the UK, and Spain to put a special tax on them as well. And so I have the feeling that they don't want to give me the opportunity to enrich myself at their expense if they're going to take take action. And besides, again, most of these tech companies don't like to act if they know it's not going to do any good. I don't have tons and tons of followers. I've got what, 32,000 subscribers. As YouTubers go, that's nothing. So it's taking that away is not exactly what you would call a major threat, especially when we are primarily, all that does is move more people to unauthorized. Well, the Euros dislike the big tech companies because they're American. We can talk sometime, Michael Jones, no problem. So, but the key thing is, it's The conflict is every day. This is the air we breathe. This is the water in which we swim. Every single day, I wake up and I turn on my computer and I'm curious to see, what works and what doesn't. What site has been attacked and what hasn't. Every day that we don't have to actually engage in something serious, some sort of direct conflict, is like a break. But we're ready for it. The VFM are ready for it every single day. The Dread Ilk are ready for it every single day. Ask the Kurgan. Conflict is literally what the Kurgan lives for. And so, the trend is happening, and it's not about me, it's not about Owen, it's not about any of this stuff. The larger trends are going to play out no matter what we do, no matter what the tech companies do. Nobody's in charge. Literally nobody's in charge. Everybody is just riding the tiger in their own way. Look at the chaos that is surrounding the world. Yes, there are people who are more skilled at taking advantage of the chaos than others and so forth. But when you look at what's happening in Kashmir, where India is signaling that they're going to be cracking down hard on the Muslims there, when you look at what's happening in the South China Sea and in Hong Kong, when you look at what's happening in France, all of these things are part of the larger trend. We've had 60 years of relative peace, wealth, and debt expansion. That period has now come to an end. And now we're heading into a series of war. We're heading into a series of economic contraction. We're heading into harder times. But you know what? Hard times make strong men. Easy times make weak men. Easy times make weak Christians. Easy times damage our faith. We have the gift of having a purpose. Look at all those poor kids out there, those poor young men and those poor young women who are caught up in nihilism and hedonism and believe their lives are pointless. We have a purpose. We know why we fight. And so think about what a gift that is. I'm sitting in my grandfather's chair. And one thing that my grandfather told me is that when you're on the beach and the enemy is shooting at you and people look at you and say, "What do we do?" Just do something. Welcome, Yusuf Darwich. And what we're going to do maybe isn't the right thing. Maybe it's not the optimal thing. Maybe it's not the perfect decision. But you know what? We will move forward. And one of the things that I live by is what my grandfather taught me as a 2nd Marine Division Marine. Their motto is "Follow me." You just get up and you go, and you don't look behind to see if anybody's following. maybe you're going by yourself. But it's kind of amazing because sometimes you go and then you turn around and there's a freaking army behind you. It's a little disconcerting, I have to admit. But, you know, we just need to, okay, you're banned. Owen is not going to marriage counseling and his marriage is not on the rocks. So, yeah, God, family, nation. We have a cause, we have purpose, and we have the truth on our side. You know, I love what Owen did. I love that he just said, "I'm not going to let you take my channel away. I'm gonna burn. You know, I'm gonna create a burn zone. If they're going to act, they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it live. You know." So anyhow, don't be afraid. Embrace the conflict. Every day when you wake up, ask yourself, where is the fight and what can I do today? You know, we're not going to win every battle. We don't even want to win every battle. I can't say more about that, but Owen knows what I'm talking about. So do a couple of the VFM. You know, we just go in there and we win some, we lose some, but we just keep going forward. Adapt, improvise, and overcome. Exactly. And so, Demetrios says, thank you for the advice on diet and intermittent fasting. I've tried it. I'm noticeably stronger and more endurant in the gym. That's good. All right, let's do some of the super chats here. Let's see. Where was General Patton on the hierarchy? He was definitely an alpha. Marie Gollet says, you cannot get your dog or bird a sex change at any age. It's animal abuse. Yet a 3-year-old human, go ahead. Thanks, Ryan Katsu-R. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. There's a lot of weirdness when it comes to vaccines as well. You talk to a veterinarian, you know, we've got a couple dogs and the vets will not give them a whole bunch of vaccinations at the same time. They're like, no, it's not good for the dog. I'm thinking, okay, if it's not good for a 90-pound adult dog to get multiple vaccinations at once, how can it possibly be good for like a little infant? You know, let's see. And then Marie adds, when my 9-year-old looks up My Little Pony, porn pops up. Yeah, that's just evil. Totally evil. Lingen says, how much do I need to save back for the Colliers? I don't know. Probably, I would guess $150 for the whole set, but I don't know if that would be hardcover or paperback. And I'm just guessing. I don't know. We haven't begun pricing them yet. I'll let you know when we have a better idea. Also, speaking of crowdfunding, the next crowdfunding campaign that we're going to be doing is going to be Owen's tour. And so even if you're not in one of the cities that he's going to, there's going to be other ways that you can support it. You know, buying the digital special ahead of time, the documentary that we're making. So there's a lot of possibility, you know, getting the tour t-shirt, lots of ways that you can support it without, even if you're not going to be able to go. Sorry about that. I just had to sneeze. Ken says, "Hi Vox, thank you for unauthorized TV. You're very welcome, and thanks to all the new subscribers." Marie Golay says, "I like to say it's already happened. Go for it. And we may need to stage an intervention," because she has yet another super chat saying, "Bear pee everywhere we smell each other." Legionnaire Bear, we may need your 12-step program here. Besides Superman, any other deltas in literature? Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I mean, deltas are normal folks. I can't think of any right off the top of my head. Okay, Holden Caulfield is a gamma. Let's see. Oh, okay. Sam Gamgee is a delta, perfect delta. Will Christians ever take back the U.S. again? The U.S. is not going to be whole for very long, so nobody is ever going to take back the U.S. in my opinion, or control the whole U.S. Paraplegic Bear says, "I think it was BPR and a secret foul flag operation, Sneaky Birds." That may well be. Gummer Bear says, "You may have only 32,000 subs, but we're rabid." Well, shout out to the rabid puppies there. Drywall Bear says, "Thanks, Vox." Saucin Bear says, "Owen didn't have password for Super Chat from the Bears and family." Thank you, Saucin Bear. Much love. God bless. Likewise. Marie Golay says, "Don't run away crying." Exactly. Silencer Bear says, "Thanks for all you do." And T21 Surfer said, "Off topic thoughts on Roosh V." You may recall that I predicted a long time ago that eventually. I like Roosh. Roosh and I are friendly. He was kind enough to write about me in one of his more recent books. I thought that his performance in the face of one of the most vicious personal attacks by the global media on a very minor public figure was amazing. He did it. He turned the table on them in a way that I've never seen anyone do before or since. He's a smart guy. Channels, you could probably, it's there. I don't know what the rules are with regards to multiple accounts and strikes. So, Vox, please tell Owen to expect a Lego set in the mail for Wally on August 13th. So there we go. Expect that. Clint Brooks says, "Hey Vox, keep the logos coming. Tuning in from Lara, Australia." Nice. Land down under. Yeah, the stream gets interrupted from time to time in a manner that makes sense. They basically set it up in a manner that was easier for the programmers. And so we'll get there eventually, but we're not there yet. Let's see. Have you heard about Computing Forever's conversion? I've never even heard about Computing Forever, so, but I'm not surprised. Aporia Bear says, "You guys are more masculine sons of liberty." I wouldn't go that far. They were pretty masculine, and we haven't been running around, tarring and feathering anybody. So, you can't view these live on unauthorized, but you can view them after the fact. Should Ben Shapiro be banished? Well, we're told that he's a white supremacist, and we're told that that's terrorism. So, I would imagine that that would be a problem. It's kind of amazing that that social media isn't attempting to shut down such a notorious purported terrorist, alleged terrorist. If the U.S. breaks up, who gets the nukes, army, etc.? Well, that'll be the interesting question, huh? H.L. Mencken was a brilliant and witty satiricist. I wouldn't say that I agreed, that I agree with him, but he was certainly stylistically a very interesting writer. No, I'm not going to do the impersonation of the evangelicals. So anyhow, so to repeat what we were saying before, if you are a former channel member of Owen's channel, be sure to email him if you're interested in working on getting his channel restored and his monetization restored. Also, make sure that you mention if you received a refund or did not receive a refund. And Brian says, I didn't miss your super chat. It was the one about you said the stream must have gone down. It was about your wanting to have kids and you need eggs or something. And I said that this is probably the wrong channel because the viewership is like 95% male. Thoughts on timetable for market crash? I think it's already begun. Let's see. No, I have no interest in being a king. More comics when? We're very close to being done with Alt Hero Q number 2. And we've actually got a couple Quantum Mortis Man Disrupteds done. But we just need to get them out. Good work, James Knight. He said, signed up for annual and unauthorized today. It was going to sometime, but today seemed like my favorite day. Yeah, you know, it's a huge, it's hugely important to support alternatives like unauthorized.tv because sooner or later, this platform is going to go away. You know, there's a lot of things that are changing. Was Alexander the Great the world's biggest alpha? No. No problem, Brian. You know, when you look at what's going on right now, I don't believe that DC Comics is going to survive the year. I think there's a very good chance that Marvel Comics is going to be shut down. How long is Google going to allow YouTube to run burning something like $1 billion a year? I mean, yes, these companies have tremendous amounts of money. I think Amazon has the most. They're sitting on 117 billion in cash. But once things start to go south, you know, the willingness to support those sort of things goes away. So, you know, we don't know how long these things are going to be around, and that's why it's important to support alternatives. Who do you say is the world's biggest alpha? Genghis Khan. Brandon Brophy says DC still makes very good animated movies based on graphic novels. That's about all they do. That's true, but they don't need to. They don't base those movies on the new comics. You know, one of their executives was complaining that their comics from 35 and 40 years ago outsell the new ones. So they have no need of the new comics. They're just a money-losing, expensive, problem-causing distraction. It's actually the right thing for them to do. It's better for them to shut it down than keep putting out the SJW stuff that they've been putting out because nobody wants to read it. Nobody wants to buy it. That's true. Trump's war on pedos continues. Good stuff. Did the gammas in Silicon Valley run off the good alpha from joining the tech industry? It does seem that way. Unfiltered says, unauthorized will attract users when interactive functions are available. That's not really true. He says people like and need to interact with each other. There's 20 times more people that just consume without interacting than interact. I know this from the statistics on my blog. I can see exactly how many comments, how many people comment versus how many people just read. It's the same here. If you look at the total number of people commenting versus the total number of viewers, you can see it's a small fraction of it. It's mostly about what people are accustomed to. It's very hard to break a pattern. In fact, I once read that if you make a serious design change to a site, you will lose about 20% of your traffic. Now that strikes me as being a bit much, but it's still very indicative of the fact that people don't like change. Any good news to report? Well, we're seeing a lot of new people joining unauthorized today, which is great, very encouraging. We are making real progress on getting things set up for Owen's fall tour. And we are between 5 and 6 weeks away from releasing our first documentary, which I cannot wait to release. So, do gammas chat more? Seems like it. Ruthie Haredell says, not going to lie, my future husband will be a bear one way or the other. That's funny. Ty finally killed his Facebook for good. That's good. And Faith Bear said, did my previous super chat make it? Let me see. Okay. She said, specifically, what do you mean when you say the U.S. won't be a whole or controlled by anyone? I calculated some years ago, maybe 2004, that the U.S. was probably going to break apart in the 2033 timeframe. Most people thought that sounded insanely out there back in 2004. Virtually no one thinks that it's crazy these days. The U.S. is an empire. It's not a nation, and it's not viable. And every empire breaks apart into more homogenous nations eventually, and I believe that the U.S. has begun that process. Meiji says, we miss Big Bear. He'll be back. Yes, I'm familiar with the fourth turning. I don't really buy it. I think it's got some interesting insights, but yeah, I tend to agree with James Pyrich. People who use chat think it's incredibly important, but it's actually a very small number. I tend to agree. Would it be possible to make Trump emperor for life? Well, he has to deserve it first. And, he hasn't done anything, fatal yet, but he has, I don't really like the way that he's playing games with the gun control and stuff, that sort of thing. I would be a lot more supportive if he would come out and say, we have a second amendment. It's very clear. There will be no laws that infringe any gun control, any rights to bear arms. There will be no gun control. And in fact, I am ordering a review and looking to annul all of the laws that violate the Second Amendment. That's what he should do. Was Frodo a Gamma, Gandalf a Bravo, and Aragorn a Sigma? Frodo was not a Gamma. I think Frodo was probably a high Delta. Gandalf was almost certainly a Bravo. Aragorn, yes, Aragorn in the books, Aragorn was a Sigma. In the movie, he was a bit more of a gamma. Yeah, Frodo was very Delta. I mean, he was in a master servant position with Sam, but um, if you look at the way that he behaved, you know, he was given a task, he bravely took on the task, and he did it. So, Marie says you can only give your guns away. That's true. Um, the new Vishal is doing great. He's really, really sweet. Um, he's he's very nice. Um, would you read Ecclesiastes 3:1 through 8 for the Bears? No, I don't do things on command. Um, let's see. And I also don't like. I also don't like, you know, uh, virtue signaling or theology signaling and so forth. My second favorite breed of dog is Rhodesian Ridgeback. Um, I'm not a fan of Benelli. I think that they're too complicated. Um, I prefer simplicity in my shotguns. Uh, I do like Shiba Inus. Um, I I don't buy into predestination, but you know my opinion is irrelevant. I do like Huskies, yes. Yep, Mossberg. I'm a Mossberg guy myself. Um, Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of the Narnia? Definitely Lord of the Rings. I love Chronicles of Narnia, but Lord of the Rings have an epicness to them that Chronicles of Narnia lack. My favorite Chronicles of Narnia is Horse and His Boy. Uh, Beach Family Homestead throws in $10. Thank you. Do you agree that the rest of the Dune series is poor? No, it's not poor. It's just uh, a bit incoherent. I'm not a big corgi fan. I don't tend to like smaller dogs. Space Bunny loves them. She thinks they're hilarious. Uh, do I like Roseanne? No. I've literally never seen the show. I'm not a fan of the woman. Yeah, Legionnaire Bear, if you haven't read the Chronicles of Narnia, you're in for a treat. Ninja says, thanks for what you do. Usually listen to the streams when they're over. That's cool. Um, were Tolkien and Lewis alphas? No. As a general rule, academics are not alphas. Why do you consider the first Dune so good? Because it's one of the only truly epic science fiction novels. Do you listen to any metal music? I live with metal music, literally. Um, just wait until you hear the original music in the documentary that we're releasing in 6 weeks. The Rebels Run movie and the documentary that we're releasing are going to have amazing original music. Let's see. No, paraplegic bear. You don't watch Dune. You read Dune. I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about the books. Any thoughts on the Russian Civil War and why the White Army lost? I genuinely don't get that. I really, it still surprises me. I've never really looked into it seriously, but it is strange that the Whites lost. Which of your albums would you recommend for a newbie like me? Well, the first Psychosonic CD is the one that I was the most involved with. I was significantly less involved with the second one. Are there any movies better than the book? Yes, The Godfather and The Godfather 2. Let's see. Owen is doing a live broadcast at 9 p.m. EST. So there you go. Corn's all right. And oh yeah, I like I don't like a lot of White Zombie songs, but I really like Thunder Kiss 65 and More Human Than Human. More Human Than Human is one of my all-time favorites. But in terms of like metal bands that I like, my two favorite my two favorites to listen to are Disturbed and E-Rock, the YouTube guitarist. Would a Bravo assume the role of Alpha when put into a situation with a group of Deltas? Yes, but he's usually not very comfortable doing so. I like some Rammstein. I really like what's the one? Engel. Engel's an awesome song. Not a big fan of Tool, no. My favorite metal band is Disturbed. Bravo is also called Beta in the socio-sexual hierarchy. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for all the support that you're offering, Owen. Thanks and welcome to all the new unauthorized subscribers and the new channel members. Make sure that if you want the channel notifications and you're a new unauthorized subscriber or a new channel member, be sure to send me your email and tell me that you want notifications, and I will add you to the list. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe. And again, if you were a channel member of Owen's, email him and let him know, especially if you didn't get a refund. So on that note, have a good evening. This is the Darkstream. I'm Vox Day.